So let's get this show on the road, spawning down here in the bottom position of Pillars of Gold. Give it up for REYNOR. And his opponent up here in the top, he is Cure. So this is going to be an exciting cross-server matchup. KR versus Italia. What a fantastic way to kind of showcase the different skills of the two servers. Cure has made an incredible comeback to form in these most recent months, in this most recent year even, because of how hard he's been practicing, how hard he's kind of battled back. If you guys remember, it's been a while since Cure has really been able to kind of pull up these kind of results. Looking back, he actually had a big 2-year stint from 2016 all the way up to 2018 where he couldn't even qualify for GSL, although he did try his hardest on that one. But in just the last year, he has had a 3rd place in the DreamHack SC2 Masters Summer Finals. The King of Battles, he went 2nd, only going down to another Terran prodigy in Maru. And obviously getting 2nd place in the GSL Season 1 last year. So, honestly, that is a good way to come on back into it. REYNOR, of course. You know, the last couple of years must have gone by in a blur for him, just with how successful he has been on the scene since his 16th birthday, and he's been able to actually compete in these top level premier tournaments. Obviously, barely losing to Dark in the very last WCS finals ever. Going to the finals of IEM, and not only that, but beating IEM this year. Just so many good results early on in this boy's career, and I'm sure that we are all going to be watching with great interest as to what 2021 is going to bring this kid past that first IEM. Now, getting back to the game a little bit, we do have that Reaper getting a little bit close for comfort there. That can kind of be... that can partly be because of the server lag between these two players. A lot of the time it won't really affect you as badly, but you could kind of see there he was getting a little bit too close for comfort. And it looks like he's just going to be looking for an angle to get in. Won't really find it. The Lings are perfectly positioned right now just to make sure that he doesn't get any scouting information at all. On the other side of things, we do have him going for the 3rd CC build, which basically will allow him that opportunity to stay relatively equal with his Zerg opponent. He wants to make sure that he does have that economy to build up to that 3 base, which, as the Terran player knows, that is when he's at the most scariest, because he can just pump out a ton of bio. He can be completely aggressive, and he can really just slow you down by getting tons of drone kills, tons of actually having to have to remake your army all the time, getting plenty of Lings dead in the water. So that is one of the big reasons that 3 base is the point where you got to be a little bit worried as a Zerg player. One drone going to go down as the Hellions kind of just rotating around, looking for those openings. The thing about Pillars of Gold, you know, just the fact that these bases are a little bit closer together. Even this 3rd base in the front position, it can be a little bit tricky to get in there with your harassing units early on. So it just kind of requires a bit of a bigger commitment from the Terran player. Very nice little snipe right there, just trying to deny some vision out on the map, forcing REYNOR to keep those overlords at home. But the queens are now a bit out of position. The Lings, though, are the big regret right there. Do have that Viking a little bit too close for comfort. That will go down. The Overlord does survive. And you know what? Cure is being very cautious with these Hellions, which I do like. In recent months, we have seen these Terran players just kind of decide to keep those Hellions alive for longer. We haven't seen as many of those big dive plays that we used to see, because keeping these Hellions alive means that your next big push is so much scarier, because you have to contend with the Hellbats. Looks like that Liberator is going to be able to get in and get a couple of kills. The Spore Crawler's not in position or even done yet. So a fantastic little denial there from Cure, denying a lot of mining time. But now hold that thought, as the Hellions are going to be making their way in. Get one good pot shot. A couple of them do go down, but they will survive. Just kind of trying to deny some of that creep as well. That's secondary damage for those Hellions. Just kind of keeping that creep spread down. But taking a look at the upgrades tab, it looks like REYNOR does have a big lead in that regard, which is fantastic for him. I think upgrades are one of the most important things of this matchup, of this game in general. Especially since those Lings, you're going to be having to have a ton of them. You're going to have to really get efficient trades. So just having those upgrades to keep them alive longer is really, really important. Pure getting ready for his next big push, as he does have 2 medevacs almost full of Marines coming on in. I like how REYNOR is trying to get rid of some of these rock walls just to make sure that he stays safe in case of siege tanks. Scan's gonna go down, get rid of some more of that creep. Looks like REYNOR's not too bothered about that. He will send those queens over to reconnect very, very soon. And one thing I like about this creep for REYNOR is he's pushing it out in all aspects, meaning that he's going to stay completely safe versus these attacks, just because he's going to have such a large early warning system. But right now, I don't think he even has any Banelings, just pure Lings at this point. I might want to start morphing some in. Otherwise, you can risk being overwhelmed very quickly. This is kind of what I was talking about here. Just pumping out tons of Marines, getting a bunch of different upgrades, including that armor to keep those medevacs alive for longer. And now he's going to be pushing with the Hellbats in tow. 13 Banelings are on the way, and it looks like he did get a huge chunk of them out. But here we go. REYNOR is getting ready for the surround. The Banelings going off on the Hellbats. Not the most efficient of trades. The Widowmines gonna get a couple of decent connections, but it looks like Cure does have to get out of there. Unfortunately, not taking the best fight that he can. REYNOR doing a really good job of kind of just baiting him into a bad fight. So now Cure does have to recollect himself. REYNOR trying to get down his 5th base, while Cure still has not taken a 4th. He is building the CC, not on location, but he does have to get rid of some of the purple carpet. Looks like the Ling's just gonna try and inch their way forward. They know that they can't really fight this instantly, so they're just gonna back off. But now we have Hive on the way. Good deflection there. So with Hive, he's going to be able to stay equal on those upgrades like he has been doing. He's going to be able to add on the Lurkers, which is funny because I think REYNOR himself said that Lurkers are incredibly weak. but it seems to be his go-to unit in the late game most of the time. Mine's getting a couple of connections, not really the biggest of deals. We do have a small drop coming down here, looking to deny some of that base. And other than that, we do need to start seeing a little bit of transition here from Cure. He needs to start pumping out some additional support units in order to make this composition better. Ghosts, maybe even getting some siege tanks, just something to deal with the lurkers, because pure marine is not the way to go about it. And those widow mines are going to start to lose a lot of their utility once those lurkers start to come in. Couple of queens going down, that is pretty nice, but Cure will have to eventually pick up and get on out. He still has these drops all over the place, though, which is good, because that's going to give him a little bit of leverage in order to kind of just force this army to stay separated from REYNOR. Even though it's starting to get cleaned up here. Cure, you need to pick up, maybe? No. Looks like there are enough Marines just to force out more of REYNOR's army, and now he has to come in the top. Scan gonna go down, getting rid of some of that creep, which is really, really good. Yeah, REYNOR's trying to fight with just pure Ling at the moment. Not really working out too well for him. He's got to regroup with those banelings. He's got to get the lurkers set up. And he's got to keep these hydras with the army as well to deal with the medevacs in the backfield. The lurkers do burrow. Big scan going down. And they are getting some good connections on the spines, but there is just way too much of a good spread there from Cure, and he gets the cancel on the base once again. REYNOR, though, is not going to sit on that. He is going to go for this big attack in the top position, just pure Ling and Bane, but now Cure is in a position of his own to try and defend. So REYNOR getting... REYNOR, you know, he's been sitting back quite a bit. He hasn't been able to touch the economy of Cure at all. Kind of take a look at the units lost tab here. Yeah, not a single SCV has gone down in this game. So that has just allowed Cure to focus completely on his unit composition. Now adding on those additional units like I was talking about, siege tanks and ghosts. The best way to deal with lurkers. I like this though. Nidus Worm coming out forward, but hold that thought. Never mind. As we do have a big run by coming in, but again, just the fact that it's pure Ling really does mean that it's very difficult to get the damage in. Now REYNOR is just going to dive right on top of the base. He gets it, but already Cure has that secondary command center ready to go. That will deny some of that mining for just a little bit. Unfortunately for Cure, however, he gets caught out here in the middle of the map. The ghosts starting to go down while the Nidus Worms are about to hit his main base. Does he see them? It is pretty hard not to. But all of his attention is actually focused up here. REYNOR not taking the biggest of fights here. I gotta say, not the best of them. But it was mostly just a distraction to allow these to get up. Oh my goodness, there's no units in them though. A bit of a wasted opportunity there for REYNOR. Although he does have those changelings in the base just to keep going. But Cure, now on the attack path, he has found a little bit of an angle to push in. As we do see another big Nidus Worm coming in, but that is spotted, so that should not be too long for this world. REYNOR just getting ready for the surround. He's getting a scan out there. as Cure. The 10 more workers going down, and the base is denied down here again. Here we go. REYNOR going for the killing blow. The siege tanks do get blinding clouds, so that's going to allow the lurkers to get right on top, and the ghosts do remain undetected, but a few of them did still go down. Now there's a ton of medevacs with this army, but not really that much army to speak of. It's all at home. He's got to bring it together in order to keep this fight going. Oh my goodness, just losing all the ghosts is a really big deal. As the Night Swarm once again just not being utilized to its full effectiveness. The lurker gonna burrow right on top. But again, everything is getting caught. And as the last of the bio goes down, REYNOR up 173 supply. And looking to kill Cure now. So I think Cure did make a lot of good moves in order to kind of stay ahead in the game. It's just REYNOR, even though he was taking that damage, he was still getting some effective trades with the army fight. But now here we go. Once again, maxed out to a 150 supply of Cure. He's going to come in here, get a bunch of SCV kills. The first, almost first in this game. And the lurkers getting right on top of the base as well. Some beautiful spine connections. Going to take down all of the ghosts. And his small army over here trying to do what it can. It is going to force a lot of those lings back in home. But you know what? GG is called. So REYNOR will take game number 1 in very convincing fashion right there. Meaning that we will hop in to Lightshade for our second map of the day. So the big question for this young man is, can he keep it going? As spawning in the bottom right position, representing Clash Esports, he is REYNOR. And his opponent at the top of the map, representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Give it up for Cure. Alright, so Cure gonna try and get a bit of a cheeky win here. These are pretty far away, so that does tell me that he's just gonna be going for Reapers. We do have the Gas Geyser coming down, which, okay, that's understandable. Obviously, 2 racks, 3 racks Reaper isn't as powerful as it used to be, thanks to a certain micro player. But it can still do quite a bit of work once you kind of get that snowball effect. Okay, never mind. This is going to be Marines. I keep forgetting that the reason you go for the Gas Geyser with this is because you want to get a factory up almost immediately afterwards. So you do a little bit of poking with the Marines. If you can't find the kill, if you can't find the damage, then you just go straight up to factory. Stay safe versus the follow-up push, which, by the way, is going to be Roach Warren. Oh, that is a really bad situation for Cure, and he knows it. Gonna have to bring those Marines together if he hopes to survive. I don't want to say it's a build order loss, definitely, because there is still the potential to kind of fight this efficiently for Cure. But at the same time, your heart's gotta sink when you see that it was a spawning pool first. Now kind of forced to bring this bunker down. I believe that's almost out of range of that hatchery. Just barely. or maybe just barely in range, but we will have the roaches already ready to go, as these lanes going to be looking to pick off some of those reinforcements and also just kind of find these racks as well. Looks like the bunker did get canceled by the roaches, and he's just going to have to send everything home right now as he is gearing up for siege tank. Yeah, see, this is a pretty bad situation because Cure is a little bit cut off from his main base for just a second there. He doesn't have a natural CC started at all. He's just having to pump out units to defend. Only just now getting that second CC up and ready to go. That's going to be a long time before that's complete, and by then, REYNOR is going to just try his best to push through. Luckily, Cure does have all of these Marines still alive. That's one of his saving graces, and that Cyclone will help out quite a bit. Looks like the fact that that Overlord has noped off does mean that he has to sacrifice the Lings in order to get the high ground as well. So overall, I think Cure will hold on pretty well from this, and from this, I feel like we're gonna get a long game. It's kind of funny when you see a cheese, you think, okay, short game, they're not gonna hold on that much longer. But at this level, it actually comes down to the fact that if your cheese fails, you're gonna have to play against a player who is very good about getting themselves out of a bad situation. So there is a good chance that this will be a long one. Like he is going to just lift up, get that stim started as well. He's got that third CC already up and rolling, and while REYNOR has committed a lot to this attack, now he can just drone up with impunity. Cure can't really move out at this point, just because he needs to kind of stay a little bit more defensive in the backfield. In terms of upgrades, we do have that stim started up. No engineering bay just yet. While on REYNOR's side of things, he's going up to lair. He's getting speed a little bit later on, and he should be starting his upgrades pretty soon, as we do have that first Evo chamber on the way. That is a very, very ballsy Cyclone there. Looking for a big kill, but that will get shooed away. Now, with the Medivacs out, that's going to allow Cure to kind of get across the map again. Start to do a little bit of slowdown. Remember, it's always the Terran player who has to get a little bit of damage in. Just kind of slow down the economy of the Zerg player, because you never want to see them get up to that 80-90 worker count, because it's just going to be pure units past that. So you want to slow them down. You want to force them to expend those larvae on the drones. As a small little run by going to get cleaned up by the main army, which is starting to move out. It looks like REYNOR is going to be sticking on Roach Tech as well, getting 7 more and a couple of Ravagers to help deal with this. Cure will have the high ground, so let's see if he can utilize it effectively. Big scan going to be coming down. He catches the roaches, but a good concave going to keep him alive. Hold that thought, though, because a huge splash from those siege tanks gonna take a lot of those roaches out. So this is a decent fight for REYNOR. He's obviously gonna be able to clean this up relatively easily, but look how many roaches went down in just that attack. 6 of them. as well as losing one of those Ravagers. So now Cure, he's got a better idea of what's coming his way. He knows that REYNOR is going to be sticking with roaches, so all he has to do is pump out the siege tanks, pump out the armory upgrades, and kind of just get some additional Marauders to help deal with that. With roaches, by the way, REYNOR is going to be able to afford to go up to Hive Tech relatively soon, as that's kind of one of the powers of roaches. It keeps you safe and allows you to spend more on tech structures rather than just having to build army. But they do have that big limit. They don't scale really well versus this bio. And so you are going to have to transition just a little bit if you can't kill your opponent quickly. But there you go. Trying to clear up some of the creep, which is spreading at an alarming rate. It should soon be on Cure's third base, as he is just sitting back with a good majority of his forces. Now we do have that Baneley Nest coming in. The Infestation Pit is down. And with it, Cure will have a little bit of trouble, as he has allowed his opponent to get up to 80 workers once again. Trying to trade out efficiently. Have to be careful not to lose to the queens. Ooh, about to get caught quite hardcore. Oh, just barely not enough bios to kill off the medevacs. That would have been incredible for REYNOR if he was able to get that, but a little bit more of that creep being brought out. The queen's gonna have to re-spread that. They're doing a very good job of it, by the way. Just take a look at this map vision for REYNOR. He is covering all of his different angles, going up to a 5th base as well, to the 3 of Cure, who is only just now getting his 4th up and operational. I think REYNOR is doing a good job as well of just catching these units off guard. Cleaning up these drop plays, which is going to keep him even safer, as we do have the Vipers and the Ultralisk Cavern down. Not to mention, we have +3 Carapace coming in for REYNOR, and Cure's 2-2 is only just now about to finish. Ooh, taking a big vial right there. This is Cure's. Cure feels like this is his opportunity to strike when he thinks REYNOR doesn't have a ton of forces. He is almost maxed out, and the siege tanks getting very far onto the creep. Gonna split away a good chunk of these units as well to get rid of that hatchery in the bottom. Now REYNOR has to be a little bit cautious about how he decides to engage this, just sending off a small smattering of units to the other side, getting ready to go. There you have it. That base goes down in the bottom. The Banelings not being able to connect with the army at all. There is still so much bio left available to him. Sent a ton of roaches to try and pick off some of those reinforcements, but now he recognizes that he has to pull them back if he wants to defend. 2 bases are down, more to follow, more than likely, as we do have those Ultralisks popping. I don't think they have chitinous plating just yet, and they certainly do not. So their effectiveness is pretty much slim to none. REYNOR gonna get some of the reinforcements, however, forcing Q to keep them at home. But this is a methodical push from our red Terran player. The SCVs are pulled to help get rid of these roaches. So while they will get a little bit of damage done, 8 workers going down, That is a lot of units that are not going to be helping to defend. Now Kira has slowed down just a little bit. Does not want to overextend up that ramp. As we got that parasitic bomb coming in. Good pull away there. Bit far forward, not splitting his units on the creep. You have to be careful when you're fighting banelings like that. Oh, and bringing the parasitic bomb back in. Losing a ton of those medevacs, actually. That is a huge blow to Kira's army. He is not going to be able to repair those and keep this attack rolling. So he's just going to have to bring all the reinforcements in, all of his attacking units to try and kill REYNOR right here, right now. Looks like he does get a little bit of a supply block down on his opponent. As we see REYNOR going to be going for a little bit of a wraparound, but how do you break this wall effectively? Let's find out, as Kira does have enough in the backfield to help clean up a lot of that by the Ultrasks, though. They now have Chitinous Plating. The Banelings are getting some really good connections, and it looks like REYNOR will be able to shut this down. The supply tells the story. Although, gotta be careful not to fight too heavily into siege tank fire there, as REYNOR, while they do have Chitinous, they still die pretty quickly to Liberators. So now Kira forced all the way back. I don't know if REYNOR has enough to necessarily kill him outright, but it's looking like that might be his plan, as he's going to try and clean up this last little bit of a drop potential there. And here we go. Gonna try and get right on top of that planetary fortress. Needs a couple of banelings to help shut that down. We do have a big double drop coming in, though, getting one of those hatcheries. And there's the banelings getting 13 kills. And Kira just can't catch a break right now. His attack was really good, but it just wasn't enough to end the game just yet. REYNOR, though, he's not out of any sort of woods just yet. He is being denied mining on this base, as the Liberator are going to get some additional kills. I think REYNOR is, like, he's in a good position. He still has the bases up, but Cure, like, while I thought he was a little bit dead earlier, he's still doing pretty well to get back into it. The Crackling's going to be coming in with those additional upgrades in the adrenal glands. Get a couple of the supply depots, but not going to overextend just yet. Small run by as well, just going to get taken on down. So, kind of taking stock of the game, Cure does have a good army right here. He's got those ghosts to deal with the Ultralisks. He's got plenty of siege tanks to kind of give him a little bit more support, and he is still exuding his presence out on the map with these big balls of bio. Unfortunately, not paying attention because he does have to deal with a big fight up here. So REYNOR hitting on 2 locations at once will be able to get rid of a ton of those siege tanks, and the ghosts will go down as well to the banelings. Looks like REYNOR did take a bit of a bad trade there with some of those banes, as he like wasted a bunch of them on the marauders in the backfield, as well as taking just 17 additional kills. This Liberator is up to 25 murders on his day. So this started with a 2-Rax and a Roach Ravager cheese. Even just gonna get a couple more kills before succumbing to the parasitic bomb. Now Cure, he is catching up in terms of that supply, but he will have to be cautious with these units. You can't afford to give REYNOR any little bit of an edge anymore, as he will take an inch and then the mile. Looks like he had to lift off his main base in order to come down here and get that extra economy, since he did lose that base in the bottom right position, or bottom left position rather. Now just going to add on those fungals. I like that addition because that's going to be able to shut down these ghost snipes. If you remember, ghost snipes get canceled when they take any form of damage, whether it's tripping and scraping their knee or massive fungals. But it's even going to get a bunch of those almost fresh mules before diving in here with the rest of his Ultralisks. Got to be careful not to fight into that choke point. Gets a ghost with the biles. That is really nice. But again, it's just not enough to kind of close this one out, so he will have to retreat for the time being. Starting to run out of angles to expand into. Every single base you take from here on out is going to be very risky for you to defend. As you got pretty much Cure trying to get right on top of this. He is about to get surrounded. The Ultralisks, though, they all go down. The parasitic bomb going to try and get rid of some of these medevacs and split them up. The Banelings not getting the best of connections, and now Cure has that army supply lead. He's going to continue to push in. He just needs to get this base. He doesn't need to overextend at this point. The Marauders going to be inching their way forward, still trying to keep this push rolling. The pre-split is very, very good. As we do see REYNOR going to dive on top, gets the siege tank in the back, decides he wants to go for the reinforcements instead. And that will make Cure decide to come back to help defend it. Realizing that might be a little bit of a mistake. Some beautiful yoinks on all of those ghosts. But the fungals are pretty good on this army. Oh my goodness, it's really hard to say who has enough to win it. But I think this is pretty much the last big push out of either side. As we do have Cure just slowly inching his way forward just a little bit further. That Ultralisk count is pretty darn low, and the Banelings are almost non-existent right now. He doesn't have the larva even to re-max this army. Oh my goodness. There we go. We do have the Infestors coming in on the backfield. They do not have the Infested Terrans or the neural parasites, so it's going to be pure fungals. If he can get those off, that's going to be fabulous for him. Very risky in order to do so, as Cure is almost completely maxed out. He's going to inch his way forward once again. Takes a couple of bile connections there. I think that's kind of one of his problems. He's been taking so many of those, but it doesn't even matter. Almost completely maxed out. The snipes going down. And while REYNOR is trying to get a little bit of a surround, the Ultralisks come in to clean this shop up. But there's just not enough of them. GG is called. Cure tying up the series 1 apiece. Fantastic way to get back into it for himself. So now we're going to go on to a bit of a smaller map. We have Oxide on the production tab. And let us see what this young man can do. Yeah, it's spawning in the bottom position of Oxide. Give it up for Clash's REYNOR. And his opponent for Dragon Phoenix Gaming, he is Cure. Okay, so the big question is, obviously the cheeses didn't work out last time. Oxide though is a much, I want to say, smaller map. The only reason it's a little bit bigger is because you do have those rock walls, kind of just blocking off the main attack route. So, like, if you don't know, you do have to come all the way up here in order to not only scout but to get an attack in. So I'm wondering if we're going to see any sort of aggressive openings out of these guys. It looks like right now the answer is not really, as we do have the spawning pool going down after that hatchery. Everything is right with the world. As Cure will get his natural down. Probably going to throw down a third CC as well once that factory is started up. Kind of just taking the rest of the stock for how this game is going. I think overall we are going to be seeing a big siege tank push. That's kind of a norm on this map, just because you do have this beautiful, fantastic location where you can throw that down, as the Reaper going to be coming in, getting a little bit of poking damage in, but shouldn't really get anything. I think the motto is, if you make 4 lings, you're probably expecting to lose at least one of them. And then if you make about 6 to 8 lings, you do slow down your economy slightly, but you also expect to lose none of them. But the Reaper is just going to come back, heal up. The Creep Tumor is down. The Creep Tumor being the golden grail of Reaper damage, as it's known. But yeah, there you have it. The third CC is down once again. Looks like REYNOR's hatchery is just about to complete. I'm sure Cure has spotted it. Yeah, there's no way that you would expect your opponent to be doing a 2-base on this map. It's just way too easy to take a third, not to do so. In terms of tech as well, REYNOR has been kind of sticking in a lot of his games with just pure Ling, the Roaches being the exception in the last game. But, you know, pure Ling Bane can be pretty good. It is pretty gas expensive, though. It's kind of weird, or strange to think about, but the fact is, like, even though Banelings don't really cost a lot of gas, you do have to make a lot of them, so it's very deceptive with how much gas that kind of style actually does cost you. And it looks like the Hellions just going to be looking for a little bit of an angle, but there are too many choke points in this location to get through. The Queens are going to be able to just shoo that away. And from here, we're going Hellbats. Now this is something I think is pretty good. Because of the fact that he already has that third CC up and running, he's not really sacrificing a lot of his economy in order to make this happen. You know, Scan's going to go down, getting rid of some of this creep, but you do want to keep some of that health on those Hellbats. Fact is, this hits just slightly later than a normal timing for a Hellbat push, so you're going to have more Hellbats. You're going to have more chances to get that damage in. And here we go, a very aggressive forward position. Already exposed. The Queen's way out of line. As the Liberator as well, getting into the main base. Looking for a little bit of work. A couple of Hellions did not morph in, and they are just going to roasty toasty these drones. REYNOR not really paying attention to them, trying to get the splits now on them in order to survive. The Hellbats, though, going to just try and chase down these Queens as the Roaches going to start to pop, going to start to push this away. I think Cure can be pretty happy about the amount of damage that he's done. He doesn't even necessarily need to commit with these units. He can just turn them back to Hellions and run away if he wanted to. But it looks like he's just going to fight straight up and crush through some of these Roach lines. Oh, that last Roach does not have speed, so it will go down, and now Cure can go home with a few of these Hellbats, but it looks like he just wants to keep this attack rolling, set himself up, as he does have Stim. He's got +1 upgrades coming on in, and it looks like REYNOR just kind of desperately trying to stick with the Roach tech. I don't know if that's going to be the best decision for him here, as he's lost a lot of angles where those will be good for him. Couple more drones going down as Cure kind of just setting himself up for the potential counterattack. Finds a lot of these Roaches which don't have speed, so they can't escape right now. Turning around to fight, do get some good connections on these Marines, kind of slowing down the push of Cure. And will be able to kind of force that back, but he can't really overextend with this. There's too many siege tanks in the backfield. I think right now your best choice for REYNOR would be to just kind of use these Roaches to help push out that creep, get a little bit further forward, get that 4th base, because you are on equal bases with your opponent, who is also going up to his 4th CC already. Now, even just trying to trade out versus the 1-1 Mariners, you can kind of see that scaling come down with the bio, as they do a little bit more work versus those Roaches on equal upgrades. I gotta say, one big problem for REYNOR in this game as well is he's got 1 Queen spreading that creep, and that is all he is really utilizing in order to do so. So that means it is so far back that he's not really going to see any of these attacks until they're already right on top of him. Now we do get a good Baneling Ball right there. Or, excuse me, a good bio kind of forcing that away, and he does have a good spread on these Roaches to make sure that the drops don't get any more damage. So from here, I think Cure, his best bet would be to bring his army together and go for a big attack, rather than try and get these little bits of damage here and there. It's just not really working for him. don't know about this. He does have a lot of Ravagers, but can he get on top of the siege tanks is the big question. So far, the Bile is doing an okay job of pushing the Marines back. The splits are pretty good, however, and now the Ravagers are without Roach support. Even though he does clean up a couple of those siege tanks, there is still more wailing away in the backfield. And so REYNOR will have to go back home with his tail tucked between his legs. And for the first time in a while, Cure has taken the upgrade lead, or excuse me, the unit lead, the supply lead. The 4th base of REYNOR versus the 4th base of Cure. That pretty much tells you exactly how this game is going for him. As we see a very good Bile going to get a bunch of that medevac health. As Cure fighting out of range of these siege tanks. Oh no. Got to be so careful with how you engage this. Even though your units are going to trade pretty well since they do have +2 attack. You know, there's still plenty of Biles available to him. Gets the siege tank. But can't really push too much further, it looks like. Yeah, there you go. The last big stem for Cure. Trades out very efficiently. The Marauders in the front, tanking a lot of that damage from those roaches. And it does get a couple of good Biles. That's pretty nice. But the siege tanks are now in position right here on top of that 3rd base. Cure, you gotta stop taking those Biles if you want to finish the game here, man. But that Ravager count starting to dwindle. We do have 11 more on the production tab, but just kind of taking stock of Cure. He's just going to punch through with what he has. Forced all the way back. And now the drones might need to be pulled in order to fight this, as the siege tank's just so far forward. There you have it. Cure going to go up to match point for this series. It is a best of 5 from the Take TV Stay at Home Story Cup. And as we move on to game number 4 on Death Aura. Can Cure finish it out, or can the IEM champion battle his way back into it? You know what? They are the only ones who know for certain. So let's introduce these players spawning in the bottom right position of Death Aura. He is REYNOR. And his opponent down here in the top is Cure. By the way, that is not a normal position for your racks. Gonna go just straight up for another 2 racks opening here. And unfortunately for him, spawning pool. So this just makes it pretty interesting, because both of the times that Cure has tried this strategy, REYNOR has gone for the perfect counter to it, just getting up that spawning pool first in order to stay safe, versus Cure, who will more than likely just have to transition his way out of it in order to stay alive. Big question on my mind is he going to add on the Roach Warren as well, just to kind of keep this attack rolling? It is yet to be seen, as you know, he's still got to make that decision, you know. But now, once again, Cure's heart is going to sink seeing these 6-lings coming across, because that does mean for him that this attack might not get too much. The Marine count is high enough to fight the Link straight up. but he's already been pushed so far back. And look at that, REYNOR, recognizing that this is a 2-Rex, just cancels the the extractor, because he knows that he can get down that third base a little bit easier. He can get some additional queens to help defend this, and he's going to be feeling pretty safe. But here we go. The Marine's going to be trying to push their way forward. Gets a cancel almost instantly. Those queens just have too much range to get that down. Now Cure, unfortunately for him this time, is going to lose all of these Marines, which is going to allow for a pretty big counterattack for REYNOR, although his guys don't have speed, so he's going to be losing quite a few of them before an attack really begins. Back at home, just desperately trying to get out one Hellion to kind of hold the wall for him, as REYNOR kind of just waiting for those guys to lift off and get out of there, so he knows they're heading home. So now from here, REYNOR has that ability to just drone without pressure. It's going to be quite a bit of time before Cure can be out on the map once again. So that honestly just, again, that just means that, you know, REYNOR's going to be up to that 3 bases. He's going to be on about 50 drones here relatively soon, I'd imagine, because he's just going to be building them for quite a bit of time. And on Cure's side of thing, he's kind of just freestyling it at this point, getting the medevac to probably drop the Hellions in the main base, getting that natural CC up quite late for this. I don't know, like, I don't think he's necessarily struggling, but he is gonna struggle to keep up. Drop a couple of those Marines as well to get rid of that Overlord, just to deny some of the vision. We do have the Liberator going to be coming in. If you remember, the Liberator is what did a ton of damage the last time that Cure pushed out. And we also have the Hellbats going to be coming in, looking for the killing blow. But REYNOR, however, is not going to let him get there easy. He's going to send a big Ling run by. Maybe try and clean up some of these Hellions. Maybe just try and slow Cure down a little bit. But let's see. Bang Nest Lair. I think he's going to have a little bit of a better time than last time, because with roaches, they can be pretty good to help defend against this. But you don't, with how delayed it is and with how many additional Hellions there are, it usually just means that you just have a lot of trouble getting out enough quickly to help defend it. Losing that many Lings as well can be a bit of an issue for him. But here we go. The Marines coming on in. Gets one of the Overlords. Clears up some of the creep. We do have a big run by. Going to be coming on down. The Hellions, they're there, but they're not going to help out. But Cure, he's going to just tap out. Says, you know what? It doesn't matter how much I could do on the other side of the map. You just killed my entire mineral line. And that means we are on match point Romanticide. What a way to finish it out for these two players. Honestly, I think that, like, I think these guys are really evenly matched. Obviously, you can blame some of the server lag for some of these games. You saw a couple of different moves from both sides that you kind of saw didn't really work out too well for them, because they probably split just a half a second too late or something. But overall, a fantastic series. I hope you guys are enjoying it as I am, and spawning in the bottom right position of Romanticide for the last time today, representing Clash Esports. He is REYNOR. And his opponent hanging out in the top. Give it up for Dragon Phoenix Gaming's Cure. You know what? Romanticide as a map, it's kind of hard to say who has the bigger advantage between Terran and Zerg players. Because obviously you do have a lot of good positions where you can kind of get some siege tank lines, which is pretty much the meta, is to just siege tank push first of all. But at the same time, there are so many little nooks and crannies to get those run-bys in. So for a backstabbing Zerg like REYNOR, that is going to be fantastic for him. One thing to note is that I think, like, I'm wondering why REYNOR hasn't been utilizing that as much. Obviously, you might be playing it towards the different players. You might decide, okay, he's going to be able to de-backstab me very quickly. But, you know, I just think if he would have gotten a little bit more aggressive, a couple more split aways, and just kind of pull the attention away from Cure, he would have won the games that he lost. So a bit interested as to why he's not doing that a little bit more. The Reaper going to be coming in, getting a couple of connections. Not going to kill anything just yet. And he's just going to be expanding behind it. Gets the factory down. Command center as well. There we go. Going up to 3cc once again. I like this build. 3cc, it can be a bit I'm trying to find my word. English is only my first language. It's terrible. But it can be a bit risky just because you're not going to have as many units as you necessarily would want. But the benefits of it, it doesn't really slow you down in terms of these early game pushes, as you still will have enough Hellbats, you could have enough Marines, and honestly, with how this is looking, I think this is going to be a Hellbat push once again. But yeah, even going for a much faster stim, getting that second Rax coming on down. The Hellions in the front kind of just chilling. It looked like Hellbats for a while, but I guess instead it's going to be kind of a very modified 2-1-1 where you get the factory first. That's kind of interesting to see. We do see the scout coming on in. But that will get denied. That will not be killed, however, as REYNOR going to be taking the more aggressive third base location. Now, with this location, you do need to break down these rocks quite quickly. Otherwise, you are going to get pushed really, really hard. But we do see Cure just kind of gearing up. He's got plenty of Marines to go for the 2 medevacs full. He's got some Hellions in the backfield as well, and a bit of a later army. So, okay, I guess I was kind of right. It is semi like a Hellbat push, just not that many Hellbats. Raynor going to be prepping for a big drop into Cure's main base as well off the back of this. But here we go. The rocks have not been broken down because he needs to keep them back. He does not have speed on the Banes just yet. But at the same time, he's going to be able to deflect this just because there's not that many. There's not that many Hellbats available to him. Looks like he does catch this as well. I'm not sure what that second Overlord was doing there. It did not have any units in it. Oh. Cure barely winning that fight. That was actually some really good micro on those Marines, but trying to fight the Queens in the front, not going to work with how much transfuse energy they have available. Looks like Reynor's going to be preparing for his first big backstab of the game. Going to try and get a lot of damage done on that third CC. Not really too much at home for Cure, but the siege tank should be enough to help out. Maybe just get the supply depot and back on out. Oh, it doesn't even get it. Look for a surround. Okay, nice, nice. And with how Reynor is setting himself up in this one, you can definitely tell that he does want to keep the pressure on the north side of the map, as he does have to creep pretty far forward in that locale. So a lot of that pressure, I think Cure, once he recognizes where that creep is, he's gonna kind of focus his defenses more towards that third. Just getting some of the tumors back from that tiny little push, as Reynor's gonna be moving out once again. There is a decent siege line available, and the Queens, 2 high energy Queens, will go down. As we do have Reynor just kind of hanging out, ready to go. So I like how Reynor is just going to be going for that faster hive, as that will allow him to stay equal on those upgrades. He's only just now getting +1, however, and the medevac's starting to go down. Oof, leaving that in a very risky position for himself, as Reynor not really able to make his way into the base at all. So Hive started up getting that secondary factory. Just going to be pumping out the siege tanks as much as humanly possible. Cure's still stuck on 3 bases to the 5 of Reynor as well. We have a small attack going to be coming in, pulling back a lot of those lings. I don't think he F2'd there, but that would have been kind of funny if he did. This attack is essentially just a feint for the main attack in the top, bringing back a lot of Reynor's units, making sure that he can get very far forward. Clean up a lot of the creep, as Reynor just scrambling for his defense, keeping everything back. Wants to bait Cure into a bad engagement on the creep. Do have those medevacs as well, kind of just hanging out in the bottom, ready to strike once Reynor's back is turned. And there we go, finally going to be taking that 4th base. I think it's a little bit late, but you got to do what you got to do. You got to play it very cautiously, I feel, when you are going for Liberators. Just kind of this slow siege up position, rather than the a big push point. Of a counterattack. Both players are maxed out, with Cure having the bigger army supply. That can be a little bit of a trouble. The Ultra's Cavern is done, and Chitinous is on the way, so that is the bit of a timer for Cure to make these attacks work. Did he just lose those medevacs? No, he didn't. They're still alive and available to him. But here we go. Cure moving a little bit too far forward. Takes a big Baneling connection right there. And he's getting forced back once again. Parasitic Bomb. You got to be careful not to let those Vipers get on top of the Siege Tank line. Banelings going on down. The Lynx trying to fight without support. They will be able to force this back, and that is still a lot of units down there. Are there any Ultras on the field? No. Like, it's still just pure Ling Bane. He is not making a single Ultralisk at this point. Just trying to defend with what he has. Looks like we do have the surround gearing up for him as he's just inching these Banelings forward, trying to draw away a lot of that Siege Tank fire. And here we go. REYNOR gonna dive right on top as one Blind Cloud goes off. The second one, not so much. But in the end of the day, Cure does almost completely get cleaned up. I don't like using the Banes on the Siege Tank, though. Look at that. The Liberator's still raining hellfire from the sky. Now Cure just inching further forward. He does have that backup army ready to go. REYNOR not using these units just yet, waiting for the moment to strike. In terms of that Baneling count, it's 0 with 7 on the way, but Cure moving a little bit too far forward, gets trapped between the rocks. And now the Blinding Cloud's going to come in to help deal with those Siege Tanks in the back. One of them still stands, tried to fight in the Liberator Zone, I believe. And now Cure just still keeping this attack rolling, not giving REYNOR a single second to breathe. Gets the kill on that base up there. Scan gonna go down, revealing this base location for him. Goes again too far forward. And those Banelings get some decent connections, forcing him to lift up and get out of there. REYNOR's having a little bit of trouble dealing with this. He's going to be going for the transition into the Mutalisks, but kind of taking a look at his larva count. It's not really the best, and oh my goodness, he is so heavily supply blocked now. Looks like REYNOR's going to be going for a last-ditch defense. He needs to keep this base alive. It's one of his last mining locations available to him, but now the Ultralisk count has been decimated. All that REYNOR has is 40 links on the production tab, and look at the supply, Kalaris. I don't know why I keep saying Kalaris, but you know what? It works. As we have the base going down in the top position. And now Cure looking to close this one out. A fantastic series from both of these sides, but I just don't know how REYNOR recovers from it. He's going to have to take a perfect engagement right here. And so far, no dice, spending a lot of those Banelings on the Marauders, allowing the Ghosts to rain hellfire on the Ultras. As you can kind of see, he's still fighting in the liberation zones for dear life. The snipes going down on what is left of the defense. 3 more Ultralisks, 22 Lings. It's all that he has left. And the question is, will it be enough? You need a ton of Banelings to break through here. In terms of healing, it looks like Cure's starting to run low on a bunch of these medevacs, only having these 2 really to do something on. But here we go, the Ultralisk falling very, very quickly. The Bane's trying to get on top of the Ghosts. The Concave is decent at the ramp, but when the Concave is just 3 Queens and an Ultra, that is not going to be enough. So thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you hit like, favorite, and subscribe, and we will see you at the next big event.